Long ago in the forgotten time of June 2023, I made the worst mistake of my life. I uploaded one of the most unabashedly awful videos that I've ever concocted. I was somehow oblivious to the sheer lack of quality and released it to the internet, ignorant of what I had just done. Horrible jokes, cringe AMV edits, bad music choices, 36 stupid facts, you name it, this video had it. Yet, it still became the single most popular video on my channel. Some say that if you look back on your past actions and cringe, it means you've improved. They also say that if you do it twice in a row, you're just a dumbass. The rules are simple. The only weapon I can use is the wooden sword. MGR2 adds quite a few new weapons like pickaxes, axes, bows, shovels, waxed lightly weathered cut copper stairs, and hoes. Many weapons can also be upgraded by using different materials like stone, iron, and diamond. I can, of course, only use the base sword, the wooden sword. As I am also the universe record holder for the MGR2 speedrun, I will not be holding back at all, and this challenge will be done on Revengeance difficulty. Now, the game begins in a cherry forest, mirroring the Otaku Paradise from the first game, where we have our first forced encounter with a new UG type known as a sheep. I'm quite surprised that for being a sequel to Metal Gear Rising of all things, this game isn't more popular. Just look at these graphics. Konami really went to work on improving the Fox engine. Might want to check your specs though. Fun Metal Gear Rising 2 fact, my PC is about to level my entire neighborhood. This game has changed quite a lot from the first one though. First thing I did was use some of those cherry trees to make myself a small house. My options are limited both by my progress and my lack of tools, but I made it thematically appropriate to the best of my ability. If there's one thing that Mr. Edgelord here taught me, it's that the only tool you need is a tool of justice. You see, this game actually starts quite similarly to the last one, with Wright sponsoring peacekeeping activities in a developing nation and whatnot. Wright seems to be much more proactive in this one though, as instead of leaving the country without a prime minister, he simply becomes the prime minister. During the first meeting of parliament, Wright outlines an immediate quarantine for all citizens because this game takes place 2 years after the first one. You know, this run isn't too bad in the beginning. I even found some copper to extract with my soul. I see you game playing hard to get. I guess I can't get copper, but I did find some loot next to a portal to another dimension. This chest contained a gold shovel. I picked it up solely to dispose of it, due to PM Wrighton's banning of all tools unrelated to the judiciary branch of government. I ignored the portal for now, and things continued to go rather swimmingly until my sword broke. I hear that requires surgery, but Wrighton forgot he's not in America anymore and is still worried about the medical bills.
And then there's Doctor. He's dead.
MGR2 has a much slower pace than its prequel, which gives time for one of Wrighton's favorite pastimes, relaxing tree chopping videos. This broadcast has been officially sponsored by the federal government of Southern Rhodesia. After all that chopping, night began to fall, and it was time to let her rip. Now, unfortunately, the ability to parry had been removed in version 1.9 of the game, so you're bound to take lots of damage while fighting. Shields, I think, fall a bit too far into the tool category. I'm personally more of a Dream Theater fan myself, so I won't be allowing them in this run. However, armor is completely legal. Now, the reason that I needed to do some fighting is so that, like any powerful leader, I can start making bombs. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I won't be using these for war crimes yet. Even if I did, Wrighton's got quite the influence. Covering it up would be a piece of cake. I would make a comparison to another famous case of a government covering up human rights violations, but Rhodesia can't afford to have China as a political enemy just yet. Right now, these explosives are simply for resource gathering. Now that I can obtain coal, I can make fire, which means that I no longer have to worry about shitting myself to death due to salmonella. Now that I could eat without dying and had access to TNT, I was gonna need iron. And that unfortunately meant that I needed much more TNT than I can get just by killing the creeper UGs at night. I had a plan, but it would require a bucket, meaning that I would need a few preliminary pieces of iron before I could get the war machine going at top speed. Unless I wanted to bore a giant hole in the earth with dynamite, my only option was to try and reach this exposed iron that was hidden underwater. This took a little maneuvering, but
Raiden, respond! Raiden! Raiden!
I'd say it went flawlessly. With the bucket obtained, I can now construct a tower that would greatly streamline my bomb production. It sorta requires leveling much of the cherry forest behind my house, but when baking the mother of all omelets, why fret over the ecosystem that maintains the chickens? It took a while, but eventually the entire world could come see the building. Like any good government building, something illegal is going on in there. Next thing I did was blockade myself into this citizen's house while fighting various enemies. I'm pretty sure the homeowner is deceased, but either way I was happy that Rhodesia's constitution didn't take a page from the Third Amendment. I then forcefully trapped myself in the house of who I'm fairly certain is the only Southern Rhodesian alive other than Raiden himself. You call it poor civil management? I call it making the choice easy. She holds more governmental positions that she wasn't elected for than Elon Musk. Today, that includes overseeing the public library system, simply because I require a name tag for something very important. This next task also requires me to tap into my infinite supply of bombs to mine some exposed copper. No, not for waxed lightly weathered cut copper stairs. Unfortunately, that is called embezzlement. After smelting the copper, I used it to make a brush, allowing me to give the honor of Southern Rhodesia's first overexploited animal species to the native armadillo population. I need parts of their shell to create a very specific item, but unfortunately, despite my totalitarian rule, I can't harvest them simply by killing one and taking the shell off. That's both highly illegal and inhumane. Instead, I forcefully scrape off the bits that I need while they're still alive. Now, I'm still pretty broke despite my tourist trap, so I might appoint my only remaining citizen to be Chief Armadillo Harvester to build a good trade economy. In order to get some trade going, though, I'd need to ally myself with neighboring nations, such as Hell. Unfortunately, the only way to get to Hell was through this portal, which requires a rectangle of obsidian. This stuff is far sturdier than what my sword can handle, but I luckily had picked up just enough from this chest earlier. There was still a faulty one in the way, which I did have to get rid of, though.
I'm in the thick of it, everybody knows. They know me where it's so skated and they close. I don't know nothing but no ice, I'm just old. 40-something minutes of so I've been told. From the screen to the ring, to the pen, to the key. Where's my crown? That's why bling always gone when I ring. See, I believe that if I see it in my heart, smash through the ceiling cause I'm reaching for the stars.
Upon reaching Hell, I found the first sign of civilization, and as Prime Minister of Southern Rhodesia, Raiden immediately declares war on everyone in this entire complex. Who can blame the guy? This fortress is horrendously on feng shui. Remember, it's only mass murder if someone is alive. I went to a different place, and yeah, these guys have terrible chi flow. I decided to pack up and go home for the day, but with the goodies I got from Hell, I was able to make an enchantment table. You see, a problem I kept running into is that I kept having to make new swords periodically because they're so weak. I decided to save the first sword that I ever made, that didn't evaporate right out of my hand, so that I could turn it into the true tool of justice. Because when I think justice, I think of standing up for what is right, choosing to fight against evil for the sake of mankind, Twinkies returning to store shelves after 8 months of discontinued production, and Bane of Arthropods. I promise I made those WMDs in the name of justice. Technically, I did make them to get more iron to make an anvil so I could name my sword the Tool of Justice, so quite literally in the name. Finding enough iron for an anvil was quite the task though. It took so long that I ended up developing airstrike technology in the process, in the name of justice. With my new cybernetic enhancements, I knew that it was time for an adventure, for there was something that I needed to do. I saw many foreign civilizations that needed conquering, looted many portals to other dimensions, and I even died. But after a long and grueling quest, I found him. There was no way I was beating this game without Blade Wolf by my side, and after 8 bones, you fat fuck, god damn, I ended up choosing this one instead. With my trusty companion acquired and my sword fully upgraded, I thought it was finally time for the endgame. But first, I needed to do something about these armadillo scoots. I went back to Hell and found another indigenous population to potentially set up an extractive economic relationship with. Unfortunately, all they had to offer was Hell's equivalent of moss-covered rocks, so I just killed them instead. Turns out their droppings are crucial to finding the final boss, so I guess it wasn't a total loss. And so, I went on my quest to beat the game. Sam's still in cryogenic storage, so he doesn't show back up for a fight until the 3rd game. But unfortunately, his motorcycle is also in cryogenic storage, so Raiden must travel on foot. Using the trusty left hands, I was able to locate the stronghold that would take me to the endgame. Upon entering the end, I was faced with my final challenge. And you know what? This guy's kinda scary, but Raiden has never been one to back down. Who cares if it can fly? Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack! Can't fret over every political leader we have to assassinate. Every good leader knows when he has been defeated. Every great leader knows when he hasn't. Maybe brute force isn't the answer, but beating someone into submission isn't the only possible way to win the war. Southern Rhodesia may not be able to win militarily, but we can surely win economically. Times like these call for one thing and one thing only. That's right, sanction! Thank you, Your Honor. I, CurveNastyJr, will be representing Raiden, the Prime Minister of Rhodesia, as well as the wider interests of the South Rhodesian governmental entity. I am here today to justify the economic sanctions placed against the End by the government of Southern Rhodesia. We believe these sanctions to be a wholly permissible tactic to further the economic interests of the nation, and a proportionate response to actions taken by the End against the nation. The defense has prepared evidence which proves that Prime Minister Raiden not only made a responsible political choice in his decision to limit the trade of armadillo scoots to the End, but may have also put himself in danger in an attempt to foster a more diplomatic and mutually beneficial outcome for both nations. We seek to have any pending lawsuits against the country of Southern Rhodesia and its government withdrawn, as well as a full approval to continue the embargo of armadillo scoots until the End and Southern Rhodesia can reach a diplomatic agreement.
Yes, Your Honor. I am Jimothy Ross, and today I am representing the Ender Dragon in the federal government of the End. My client claims that the federal government of the End has made contact with the government of Rhodesia, expressing interest in setting up a trade agreement regarding armadillo scoots, Rhodesia's main export. This contact has been verified by this document. The plaintiff has also stated that the Prime Minister of Rhodesia had not only turned down this agreement without reason, but had also unfairly denied the import of any armadillo scoots into the country. This overreaction by the Rhodesian government is a clear violation of the principles of free trade and also infringes on the End's autonomy. The prosecution seeks to have this embargo lifted, and for the End to be financially compensated.
We have called upon a member of the Rhodesian government to deliver her testimony regarding this decision, Your Honor.
If I may, Your Honor, we'd like to present another document that supports Miss S's statements. This letter was written in response to the End's request for a trade agreement with Southern Rhodesia. As you can see, it lacks professionalism, and the haste in which it was created exemplifies the lack of care on the part of the Prime Minister when making the decision to place economic sanctions.
Look, that's not important, okay? We have a very important piece of evidence we would like to share that proves that the sanctions were placed fairly. Please take a look at this video. As you can see, Prime Minister Raiden recorded himself entering the End's borders personally. This may have, in fact, put himself in danger, as he is alone in a foreign nation. This shows that he wished for a genuine partnership with the End. But more importantly, if we fast forward, we can see Prime Minister Wright getting killed by the Ender Dragon.
It's rather simple, really. The Prime Minister is shown holding a weapon in this recording. The Ender Dragon was merely exercising the right to self-defense. Indeed, Your Honor.
Oh shit. I didn't think about that. Think, Curve, think! Objection!
I do believe that the trial is over, Mr. Nasty.
Your Honor, I believe there's a crucial fact that is being overlooked here. I believe that Mr. Ross, in his own words, stated that my client had entered the end whilst brandishing a weapon. In doing so, the plaintiff had killed him in an act of self-defense. However, there's one key detail that the prosecution left out. Nowhere in this video is Prime Minister Wright holding a weapon.
Respectfully, Mr. Nasty, have you gone mad? He is clearly holding a sword. A sword is a weapon.
Correct. He is holding a sword, but the sword in this video is not a weapon, and is instead merely a tool.
The only tool I see in this courtroom is you, Mr. Nasty. A sword is indeed a weapon.
I can understand how you're mistaken, but this sword being a tool is right in the name.
If I must entertain this idea, surely the sword is a tool of pain or violence. I can see no other use for a sword of all things.
How close-minded of you, Mr. Ross. This sword is not a tool of pain, violence, or anything of that manner. Quite the opposite, in fact. How about a tool of justice?
What? This can't be happening! No!
And so I went home, dejected and owing tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Was the run really going to end here? We were so close, but unfortunately, brute forcing the Ender Dragon fight was impossible, and taking her to court was similarly fruitless. I think I need to get some rest. Wait, it looks like Wolf has something for me. Could it be? I can't believe it! It's the Murasama Blade! I should have known. Raiden couldn't beat the final boss of the first game without it, so it makes sense that I'd still need it here. But I need to hurry. I need to kill the Ender Dragon and conquer the end before the court forces me to relinquish my portal access.
Stand in here! You are just like me, trying to make it history. But to judge the grind of corn, we got this time, I think well for the but in the end, it has to be this game. He's the leader of the bunch, you know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. Go in the gut, can buy it in first. If he shoots you, it's gonna hurt. He's bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the first member of the DK crew. Back again and about time too. And this time, he's in the mood. He can fly real high with his jetpack car with his pistols out. He's one tough call. You follow your rap, but maybe we all the same. The world has turned so many times, but hold on, it's too late. Yes, the cross this day.
You know what they say, you snooze, you lose. And it looks like you just snoshed and lost, bucko.
We did it. The final boss is dead. Raiden now rules the world. All that's left to do is go through the portal, and it will officially be challenge complete.